Hello, beautiful souls. I hope you're doing well and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're new here. My name is Luana, and over the past 5 years, I've done more than 4,000 twin flame, soulmate, and love-related readings, and I really felt called to sit down and do a reading for the Divine Feminine Collective. Perhaps you're dealing with a Divine Masculine who is still in the middle of their healing journey. But my intention with this reading is to really see what comes through and bring through some healing messages. We have the Goddess of Love Tarot. We have Teal, Swan's frequency cards. And we also have Colette, Baron-Reid's Wisdom of the Oracle cards. So we're going to see what comes through. All right, so Spirit is saying this is really, I think, going to be a Divine Masculine reading, or a reading on the Divine Masculine consciousness. It's interesting because so many of the readings I do for my clients, they ask me about the Divine Masculine. And so I feel like I've become pretty adept at reading it. Okay, so the first card that we have falling out here is the Devil card. Okay, well, what a better card to kind of represent the karmic cycles that the DM can kind of get stuck in. There's just this feeling of attachment to the way that they're being perceived. It's so funny because I was doing a reading this morning for this client of mine who I've been reading for years, and their Divine Masculine, I feel, whenever I read them, is always kind of going through something with the family. Like the family is pressuring them to be a specific way, or they are just very tied to their material success, kind of the things that bring them a sense of stability and also a sense of being good enough. And I also see this pattern reflecting really hard on the Divine Feminine. You watching this, it's very hard to kind of have a connection with someone who is so tied to the 3D physical world. But there was a download that came through that in that reading that I feel like Spirit wants me to talk about here, because it gives an explanation for this devil energy. Like, why is the Divine Masculine in this devil energy, in these devil patterns to begin with? Okay, so I want you to imagine that in some twin flame connections, not all of them, it's almost like the energy is like a seesaw. You know, on a seesaw, when two people are on polar opposite sides, it's like one person goes down and the other person goes up, because whatever you do on this side will affect the other side. If this person goes down, the other side goes up, okay? And so sometimes it can be very confusing, especially on the twin flame journey, which has so much mirroring and so much of a soul connection present. And you're like, well, if I am embodying this hermit energy, if I am doing my healing, why is the Divine Masculine supposedly going in completely the wrong direction? Okay. And the image that Spirit gave me is that this is almost like a healing mechanism for some people on the twin flame journey. Okay. So that I feel like I'm going to be speaking to a very specific group of Divine Feminines and Divine Masculine. So if this doesn't resonate with you, you don't have to take it. It's almost like part of the growth in this journey, part of the healing, and part of the pre-birth intention or the path is actually for and I'm trying to censor this card here, is for the Divine Masculine to go through an initiation or a period of time where they are so deeply tied to this devil energy. Attachments, insecurities, material, they make up for their emotional shortcomings with the material, or they attempt to. And part of this path is going so far down into the deep end of the devil energy, of attachment, of being really divorced from the soul, that it would cause this pendulum swing in the other direction. So if like you're up here on the seesaw and they're down here, the pure frequency that you are holding at the top of the seesaw is so powerful that by the time you kind of like let go in a way, like they're showing me this energy of a slingshot, energetically release the devil version of them. And remember, the devil is not like Satan, it's not evil, but the devil represents the things that divorce you from your own soul. It represents purely the ego and going into the parts of ourselves that are scared. It's almost like you can think about it as like the survival self a lot of the time is what is formed in this energy, okay? And so this is almost like Spirit is wanting to explain why the Divine Masculine has been embodying this energy And it's not even that you have to descend to the divine masculine's level to cause them to go up. They will go up of their own natural accord, kind of like if you have a buoy in the ocean and you drag it down and you drag it down, 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 all the way to the bottom of the ocean, and you release it, it's going to shoot to the top with a powerful force because of the air. And it's almost this like, there's this idea and this concept and this image coming through of the counter force of the amount of pressure they're putting to stay stable, happy, secure, successful, to appear a certain way. I always talk to my clients about, the divine masculine. A lot of them really want to appear a certain way. But the force of pushing their pain down, of pushing their insecurity down, sends it to the surface that much faster. Okay, so that's where this devil energy is coming from. It is very much a soul lesson for them and a soul contract with you to be the embodiment of everything that they are not. You are breaking through every single fear that they have. You are embodying as the beautiful divine feminine, the light, the choices and the willingness and the freedom to do that. And I'm also hearing so many divine masculines will chase this in the pursuit of security, but it's not really security, because if you think about it, true security and true safety and happiness is going to come from living a life of alignment. So it is a false security. It's a false happiness in a lot of ways, right? Like the devil can represent addictions too, like these addictions that momentarily numb your pain or numb their pain is a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. You have to do surgery. You have to heal it. You have to go into it. You can't ignore it. And that has been the theme for a collective of divine masculines on the twin flame journey. We also have the Two of Wands and also the Eight of Wands reverse. This is an energy of planning a move towards you from the divine masculine's end, but also not moving, right? So the Two of Wands is a planning card, a visioning card. This is what I want. It would be so nice to have this and this and this and this. But I'm too scared to go forward. I'm too scared to take action. I'm too scared to get that ball rolling. And for so many, I can literally feel like the divine feminine consciousness, like kind of gag when I say that, because it's like, we're really tired of this cycle, really tired of this pattern, right? Like we don't want a masculine who is waiting. We want a masculine who takes action and steps into the energy of what we need them to be, right? So what does Spirit want the divine feminines watching this video to know, who are maybe dealing with a masculine like this? Okay, Crone of Cups in reverse. This is the Goddess of Love Tarot's version of the King of Cups. So this is basically Spirit's way of saying they have the potential and the seed within them to become this upright King of Cups, where they are emotionally in tune. They have a sense of leadership where it's no longer just about them and their emotions and their insecurities, but they can then lead other people and be a safe space for other people, being a compassionate leader. With this being in reverse, it's almost like Spirit is saying, you are not responsible for their healing or for their wounds, and you don't need to carry that burden. They must become this of their own accord. That's what Spirit is saying. The divine masculine must become this of their own accord. It's so interesting because I oftentimes, reflect on my own twin flame connection. I'm married to my twin flame. And one of the things that I really think shaped his journey, and I think this is why we met later in life, is because when I had met him, we had been doing so much, work in separation and work at a distance. And we both became people who could really sustain that union. And so I don't want you to feel discouraged if you're dealing with a masculine who is embodying this devil energy. It's really common, and it doesn't mean you're stuck or tied to that connection. I always like to tell my clients that twin flame connections and soulmates, they're all kind of extensions of the same thing, right? Like soul family is you sharing a higher consciousness at a higher level with each other, right? And so even if an aspect of your soul group is going through something, it does not mean you are limited. It does not mean you are stuck. And it also does not mean that your union is dependent on that one person or that one timeline. Like, you have more freedom and flexibility than you might think. Okay. Wow, you guys. Okay, so we have the Nine of Wands reverse coming out again. And I recorded a reading earlier this morning with the Nine of Wands coming out. And it's just this energy of old ancestral patterns of emotional exhaustion healing. Like, this feeling of always having to watch your back or feeling triggered in emotions. It's like the divine masculine is healing this right now. They are healing specifically, also for some of your divine masculines, like healing this pattern where they feel like they have to constantly watch their back for what their own family or their own people are saying to them. That is healing. So there's an element of trust coming through, of feeling like they're pushing and pushing and pushing, and nothing good is coming of as a result of that. Like, there's so many divine masculines that I read on, and they have actually, like, a lot of oftentimes male karmic friendships in their life who are kind of influencing them in a more negative way. And by negative, I simply mean that they are teaching them, I guess, like, if you think about like male dating coaches, or, the rise of the male podcasters who are perhaps not approaching it from the most balanced or loving energy, maybe coming at it from a misogynistic lens. Like, there's a whole epidemic of misogynistic male podcasters, kind of that energy. That is the energy that we're really seeing in the Divine Masculine Collective. But it's like, it's the masculine shadow that they must overcome. They have to get to a point where they can be loving and they can be authentic and they can communicate. But it requires, like, genuinely, it just requires self-love. And there's so much kind of reactivity in the divine masculine consciousness that they're having to heal and work through. Kind of the most, I don't want to use the word animalistic, because there's never any excuse for men or divine masculines to not treat you in a loving and respectful way. But it is almost like the way that they see themselves. Like, perhaps some divine masculines come from families or from societies where it's like they're not really holding themselves to a high enough standard that us divine feminines hold ourselves to, because we have such a sense of compassion and love for the people around us. And so it's almost like healing their heart also requires confronting all of that pain. And, it's so interesting because on this twin flame journey, right, everyone is always, having a debate about who has it harder. But I really think that the divine feminine and the divine masculine collective are going through two completely different journeys. They're on different ends of the energetic spectrum. And when I do a reading for divine feminine, the messages and the advice are so different than when I read for masculines, simply because everyone, you choose to incarnate in the society and perhaps of the gender that you're born with, and you kind of have an understanding of how that will impact your life, right? And so on a soul level, the divine masculines kind of knew that they were taking this on. And there's always many different timelines or paths. It's so crazy because I put the deck down in front of me, and we have the Queen of Pentacles coming out. This is the divine feminine. The divine feminine has reached a point in collective consciousness where it's like you are stable in your self-worth, even if you don't feel like it. And yes, even if you don't feel like it, is what Spirit is saying. Even if you are watching this and thinking to yourself, I would love to embody the Queen of Pentacles, this confident, self-loving, stable, feminine energy, but I feel like I'm not there yet. Spirit is saying you are there. You don't need to be better or to be reaching of a certain ideal in your mind. You simply trying and being self-loving is enough. This is an energy that says, I am enough. And so this is for any divine feminine who has ever healed that unworthiness wound. It's like a message of saying, yes, you are enough, and now you know that. For a lot of you, that's going to have come from a past connection, twin flame or karmic or soulmate, where you have felt a lot of disappointment or like a shallow beginning. Things didn't fully start, okay? So let me reshuffle. And I really want to know what is the message that needs to come through for this Divine Feminine Collective, because I always like to say I am not just a reader who delivers information. I'm also a healer. So let's channel some healing messages and let's switch to the Frequency Tarot deck, okay? If you guys like to heal, do any type of healing, I really recommend this deck by Teal Swan. Those of you who are in my community who know me know how much I love Teal Swan's work. She has taught me so much about emotional healing and spirituality and really how to be psychologically, spiritually healthy. I love using her deck when I am healing something emotional, because I have noticed and I've learned that for every single wound, every single energetic imbalance, there's a frequency that can balance that wound. So, for example, the energy of self-hatred, which is self-rejection, if you wanted to heal that, you would have to introduce a self-loving energy and keep giving the self-hating parts of yourself and the self-hating energies within you self-love until they naturally transform. When she gives the heart of Tafiti back and she transforms from this angry, kind of like demonic form of herself back to herself, you are transmuting the darkness within you. Literally, you're transmuting it. So what are the healing frequencies that these divine feminines need most right now? What are the healing frequencies that they need most? Okay. We have Labyrinth and Positive Focus in the reverse position. So if you guys decide to get this deck, not sponsored by the way, I just love this deck so much and I've used it for so many years. I would recommend this to everyone who does readings for themselves. This is essentially an energy of getting lost in the trigger and the spiral. Like, first and foremost, it can look like these cards don't mean anything because they're very different than traditional tarot, but each of these frequencies, if you really sit with it in your intuition, will anchor you into the specific frequency. So with this Labyrinth card and just this Positive Focus in reverse card, I just know that this Mercury retrograde hit everyone really hard, and we also are in the middle of an upcoming Lionsgate portal. It's very easy right now in the energy to get lost in the triggers, okay? And this is even on the divine masculine side. Like, if you're in contact with your divine masculine and they have been more agitated or a little bit snappy or just more triggered, it's like this shadow is coming up right now. Like, the collective shadow for everyone is coming up right now. The part of you that is angry, that is repressed, that wasn't heard, didn't feel seen, that collective pain is almost experiencing a resurgence right now. And so the most impactful thing that you can do on your journey right now is to focus on creating that inner calm and that inner peace within yourself. This is what Spirit is saying to me right now. They're channeling. They're saying, basically, this is an opportunity to look at things that were very repressed. Like, these are patterns that are going to, okay, so like, let's say within you, like 99% of your energy is good and great and healed and beautiful. Maybe 1% you're holding onto a shadow or a pain that has almost been running the patterns in your life. So one tiny little energy or wound has been creating this big figurine on the wall. When you're doing like shadow puppets with a light, the projection that appears on the wall is much bigger than the fingers that you're doing the shadow puppets with, right? And so it's almost like your guides are saying that the projection, what you're seeing in your physical reality that seems so massive and so insurmountable and difficult and painful, actually boils down to a little thread of energy, a little imprint in your subconscious mind. And so chasing the trigger when you feel the trigger is how to go to the root of that and heal that. Okay, so something I'm going to link below this video that I linked in the first video, because this seems to be the theme right now, is I'm going to link my trigger recovery roadmap from within my academy. And this is basically a tool that I created. It's an interactive guide that you can click through to heal a trigger. It will give you guided meditations, journal prompts, and walk you through every single step. So even if you have no idea how to give love to yourself, or it feels very uncomfortable, like I remember when I first started healing my triggers for the first time on my twin flame journey to manifest union, I had no idea what I was doing. And it was very confusing on how do you give yourself self-love? What does it even look like? What do you even say to yourself? So all of that, years and years of experience healing my triggers working with clients is in that roadmap. So I'm going to leave that link below. But I would really recommend using that resource to explore the current triggers, energies, beliefs that are coming up, because so much of this is tied to everything that is coming up right now. And it's almost like Spirit is saying, we are working with you to heal the reflection that you don't like to see, basically. And the reflection being your external physical circumstances that are triggering emotions within you, okay? And this is a really beautiful thing. So they're helping you trace the source of that mirror to what's within to help you lovingly heal it. Remember, not fixing, never fixing. We don't want to get into a self-fixing energy when it comes to the twin flame journey or the spiritual path. We want to approach ourselves with such grace and love and to actually understand, and Spirit is wanting me to talk about this, but to understand that the things that happened to you in your life and the painful things that you have gone through were really never your fault. And it's very easy to blame yourself. And this is especially true if you went through situations in your childhood. You cannot blame yourself. You cannot blame a child, that inner version of you who did not know better, who did not know how to protect themselves. You cannot expect that version of yourself to just get over that in the blink of an eye, even though you're grown up now and you're healing now. You can't expect yourself to just be different overnight. It's a process. And so part of healing, okay, another download that's coming through for this specific collective is there is a collective here that I'm speaking to where you actually had a soul contract. You had a karmic cycle that you carried from a past life or many, where your soul was then like, I really want to learn what true healing feels like. Like maybe you went through a series of lives where you were focused on, I don't know, I'm hearing the word like destruction. Maybe you were in wars, like maybe you were engaged with the darker aspects of humanity, which is normal. Like every soul can choose to experience any part of human life, right? But then it's like your soul wants to go through this lifetime to heal your soul from those specific issues. So, and it really boils down to how deeply can you connect spiritually and feel at one with others and kind of regain that part of your consciousness. So what I mean by that is there is like a part of your soul that when it first comes to physical reality still has that pureness and that innocence, and lifetime after lifetime you go through things, you experience hurt, pain, anger, you go into darker, more low vibrational energies, and at some point your soul is like, I'm tired. Like I want to heal. I want to have a good lifetime where I recollect myself and I kind of balance out my karma and I just feel good. Okay. And so this kind of brings me back to this memory that I had that I feel like sharing in one of the healing classes that I took. So for those of you who have been following me for some time, you know that I love working so much with the violet flame. Now, the violet flame is a high vibrational frequency that you can use to do energy healing on yourself, to heal past lives. And I felt guided to sign up for this violet flame healing class, okay, with Maria from the Light of Healing School, I believe it's called. Amazing teacher, highly recommend her. I learned so much from her. I took her Akashic Records healing class, her Violet Flame class. But basically, before that class, the reason I'm bringing this up is because this was in the middle of my twin flame journey. Like I was in the middle of doing healing, working with coaches, trying to manifest union, trying to manifest love, and just feeling really confused. And I just felt so called to take this Violet Flame healing class. And I was like, there must be something here, like in my past lives, or I was just so excited. And I remember the night before that class, I had felt such a deep level of like resistance and fear that made no sense to my physical situation. It almost felt like I had this moment of like, I feel like I'm in mortal danger, or I feel like I'm in hell emotionally. Like it was so strange because I wasn't even like struggling with anything mentally at that time specifically. You know, obviously we go through periods of life where we're maybe more sensitive or struggling emotionally, but at that point I was fine. And it was right before the Violet Flame healing class. And I, at that point, was just feeling so connected to, you know, past life experiences I had had. I was really deep into meditation. I was doing a lot of readings at that time and working with the Akashic records. And I really believe that just going to that Violet Flame healing class was actually triggering and bringing up to the surface all of this past life trauma that I had. These memories and lifetimes where I felt like I was a bad person or I had abused my power in past lifetimes. And I, at times, like when I would have those kind of past life bleachers in meditation, I wouldn't even feel like female. Like I was like, I feel like I am a man at this age in this lifetime. I feel like I'm fighting with these people and going through these things and, being killed in this way and like going through all of these painful experiences. I was having really intense past life bleachers. I could barely make it to the Violet Flame healing class because I felt such fear and resistance, but I managed to make it to it. And looking back on that, I realized, wow, the attunement that I was going to energetically receive from the Violet Flame healing class was actually, without me even trying to, bringing up all of these patterns that had been running my life and my behavior and keeping me on a very certain karmic timeline and a karmic pathway where I wasn't myself. Like the way that I am now is so different than how I was in the beginning. And I don't even think that I necessarily had gotten all of my personality traits from just my family, because I had very interesting personality traits, I guess, that didn't seem to fit who I was or my age or my upbringing. I just always felt like there was like parts of me from a previous lifetime that I was still healing. Pain that I hadn't integrated, lessons I hadn't learned. And so the reason I bring that up is because being introduced to an energetic portal, like the Lionsgate portal or a Mercury retrograde, which just ended, or the pure intensity of the twin flame journey, is bringing a frequency and a vibration that is so high and so bright that it will illuminate every single shadow in every single corner. My guides are showing me this image of, like a little dusty room with like spiders and cobwebs in the corner, and so the light is so bright. Everything is getting illuminated and a breeze is coming in, and it is the epitome of a purging or a cleansing. And another reason they wanted me to bring up that story to tell you is just to illustrate to you kind of what you're going through right now, in a sense, right? So if all of these wounds, patterns, karmic cycles already existed deep in your energy, I even learned in that healing class about like the causal chakras, which I believe are behind the ears, and they're supposed to hold the energy and memory of past lives. Like I didn't even know that was a thing. It just goes to show that we have such complex energy centers in our body and in our soul. And so we can be holding energy we're not even aware of, that doesn't activate until a certain point or gets triggered until a certain point. So all in all is to say that like our inner worlds are so complex and beautiful and kind of like beyond our understanding in a lot of ways. Okay. They had me shuffle, and we have the immunity card reversed and we have mother reversed. For those of you who aren't familiar with this deck, what this is basically saying is that the root of your inner child wounds or your disconnection or your wounds around feminine energy, this is also for those of you who had a mother who wasn't in the healthiest energy, maybe a mother who was abusive in some ways, toxic, or dealing with karmic patterns of her own that might have had a negative effect on you. This is a message that says the reason that you feel so vulnerable and triggered and insecure and not like yourself is because it's like you are choosing to heal all of this soul karma in this lifetime. But I don't even intend to say karma in a negative way at all. It's also about like the collective karma. You have come to this earth, and you're not just having to deal with your own stuff, but you come here and you have to deal with the way society is. You have to deal with the way your family is, like toxic people, government structures, systems, belief systems. Like there's basically what Spirit is saying is there's so many things in this world that can hurt you and have hurt you. But karma is not a punishment. It's just your soul making a choice to engage in the healing of all this stuff that was here, right? whether you contributed to that with your soul essence in past lives, or really just because there is this sense of oneness and how we're all connected, right? Like this is getting really spiritual and high vibrational in nature, but I feel that this specific collective that I'm speaking to, this is going to activate a soul knowing or a soul memory in some way. And so I know that I'm speaking to a collective of divine feminines who have really struggled with their femininity. And this is me as well. I can really relate to this, feeling like very disconnected from your feminine essence, but not just your feminine essence in like doing your hair and makeup and being pretty and that aspect of femininity. But it's like the aspect of femininity that is like spiritual and esoteric, your intuition, your ability to manifest, your connection to your inner child and your innocence. Innocence is a word that is coming through. Like the things that we go through can really traumatize us and in some ways take away our innocence, but it is through healing and through resolving that karma that we regain or reconnect to that sense of innocence, which is essentially our soul. No matter what you have gone through, you are still worthy. No matter how vulnerable you feel, you are still strong, right? This is what spirit is saying. We want to take in love. We want to give ourselves love. We want to nurture ourselves. We want to eat good food. We want to attend to how we feel. Like healing is a slow emotional process because you're basically tending to a garden. Okay. And it's so funny because the garden analogy also came up this morning as a vision from spirit. But spirit says basically that the garden is your inner world. You want to tend to the weeds that are your negative thoughts. You want to pave very easy to walk pathways throughout the garden, which is equivalent to the way that you talk to yourself and how well you know yourself. When I was shuffling, I didn't mention it, but the self-awareness card flashed on the bottom of the deck, and I was going to say something about it, but I was in the middle of channeling something, so I didn't. But that self-awareness energy is basically coming up a second time to talk about how in that garden, you got to be aware of your garden to take care of it. You have to tend to a garden to make it beautiful and luscious and livable and to help the plants grow and thrive. You have to regularly be in the garden, be aware of the garden, be looking around, be thinking, okay, mate, what do I want to plant over here? What seeds do I need to go buy? What new beautiful things can I believe about myself that I can plant there and take root, right? How can I water my garden once I have planted the seeds? Like, what do I need emotionally to feel good and to heal? So it's a little bit of a maze. We also had the labyrinth card coming out in this deck earlier, but that labyrinth of your inner mind that you are getting to know right now. So this is essentially the healing message for what you're going through right now. And your goal, based on this reading and in this frequency, seems like it would be, wow, okay, that's so funny. So this card jumped out, creativity, be creative. I feel like there are so many artists in our collective here, those of you who are watching this, like very creative, even if you don't think that your art is good, which is what someone's guide is coming through and saying, even if you don't like your paintings or your poems or the videos that you make or your writing, anything that is a creative, authentic expression of you, even if you have a business, like a business is a creative thing. Whatever is your baby, in a sense, whatever you are creating, it's like pour into that. And that is something that is deeply healing. And so I almost feel like I am being shown this vision of healing and what your healing really looks like on an energetic level. Like your higher self is coming through and basically saying that your healing, the way that you feel and the things that you have in your life, including your union, your abundance, everything that you desire, love, abundance, that is also linked to your energy of how easy and good it feels to express yourself creatively and honor what you've been through. It's not like you have to erase your past, is what Spirit is saying. You don't have to erase your past, but transmute it. Like literally transmute it. And your resistance to creativity is a wound that was never meant to be there. Because your creative abilities and your desire to be creative was always something that would move you forward and heal you emotionally, energetically, spiritually, make you feel better about yourself and really unlock the essence of who you are. Like for so many of you, this also has to do with the throat chakra. Let me know in the comments if you're a Gemini, or if you have any Gemini in your chart. But it's like some of you could also be speakers. Like it's important to, and okay, as I say the word speakers, I have this flash of like fear that I feel through the collective energy. And it's almost like there's so much fear around saying what you want to say or saying what needs to be said, expressing yourself creatively. Remember that speaking and speaking with your voice is not just to communicate with other people. It's also to communicate with the world at large. And this is manifestation. Okay. So it's almost like they're showing me this in two boxes. Okay. Now this is getting into manifestation. This is getting into like the spiritual esoterica meta of manifestation. My desire to communicate because you want to communicate with your twin flame and you want to have good communication with your twin flame. But the fear that you feel around communication is not just linked to just your twin flame. Even if like you don't have a fear of communicating with other people in your life, it's like they're almost like bringing me back, and they're saying, please look at this. Like they're almost saying this is something that's important to look at. And this could also be an energy that you have felt towards your divine masculine, because I know we open this reading as a divine masculine reading, and now it's kind of become a channeling of what we're talking about. It's like saying, please look at this pattern. Please look at this thing that is so causing you pain, this resistance to communicate, this resistance. It could be that you're telling yourself, if I say something, nothing will change. Well, that's a limiting belief, and your words have power. And even if your words fall on deaf ears, even if you speak your truth and this person doesn't meet you, and I also feel like for a lot of you, I don't even necessarily feel that they won't understand what you're saying. Like, I feel like it can be very hyped up in your mind that if you express something, like they're not going to get it. Like there's a lot of fear, and this could also be something the DM feels towards the DF, because it's like a ping pong. Like when I'm reading for the divine feminine and the divine masculine, like sometimes the way that I feel those energies talking to each other is like a really back and forth. So that's really just the message there. But yeah, focus on your creativity, focus on expressing yourself, and give yourself permission to express the things that you want to express, okay? Because yeah, I just feel like this is such a beautiful closing message here for the divine feminines. There is so much healing that is happening at a higher level, and really just take it day by day. I hope you guys enjoy this reading. I will be uploading more of these. I will also link all of the resources that I mentioned, the trigger recovery roadmap, in the comments if you would like help healing your triggers. Be sure to subscribe. And of course, I will see you